Hey, what's up? I'm Liz, the Split State DIY. Both my cats are upset that my curtain's closed, and this is an end-of-year Q&A video. So original. I did one last year, and I didn't mind it, so I thought, why not try again? And you know, how pompous of me to think that people would have questions for me, too. So there's that. But I thought, you know, getting in the spirit of end of year, it'd be nice to film next to the tree. It's an incredibly gloomy day outside, so I've got the curtain closed, and yeah, we can just go about doing the questions. I've compiled the questions that were asked, and I've printed them out on little slips of paper. A tree was harmed in the making of this silly video. I'm going to shuffle them up. I'm going to put them in this sillier stocking with my pal Snoopy on it, and so then they'll be kind of random as I pull them out. I thought that could be fun. Hopefully you also think it's fun. Not going in the stocking as easily as I thought they would. Did you test this beforehand, Liz? No, I didn't. All right, so we have our stocking of questions, and let's just jump right in. Let's pull our first question out. I pulled 5 questions out. We begin with, what is your 5-year goal? Well, that's stressful. I guess because I know so many things can happen to affect, like, what you're doing next month, let alone in 5 years. And also, if I'm really honest, I find it very hard to plan right now with the situation, with the political situation here in the United States. It will really be determined what my long-term plans are based on, like, what's happening with the government and what laws go into place or don't go into place and everything like that. So not to start on a downer, but I don't really have one. Just keep doing what I'm doing. Stay alive. That's my 5-year goal, is to stay alive. There we go. This is going well. Okay, next one. Are Winnie and Harriet good girls or the best girls? Oh, they're the best girls. Yes, they are. Harriet is right in front of me on the couch right now, and Winnie was somewhere. Winnie, oh my gosh. Can you see her? She's on her couch. I got her an IKEA couch, and she loves it. Yeah. Good girl, Winnie. You're the best girl. And you too, Harriet. You can't leave one out or else they'll get upset. Any favorite tools from this past year? Yes. I keep it pretty basic with tools, but one upgrade I did do at the beginning of last year was my soldering iron upgrade. I had used a TS100, which has gotten, ironically, way more popular after I stopped using it. I upgraded to a Hakko, which is awesome. Really recommend if you're doing a lot of soldering, like, do that. The TS100's a great little iron. Don't get me wrong, and it has a lot of tips available for it and everything. And you can mod stuff if that's what you're into. I don't know how I feel about modding something that has the ability to get up to like 400 degrees Celsius, but that's all right. One thing though with the TS100 is the power cable and the brick it's connected to weighs more than the actual iron. So sometimes that felt a little not great. When you're trying to, like, work on a larger board or anything at an angle, basically. Like, you had to basically make sure everything you're soldering was in a perfect position. Whereas with the Hakko, because it's a bigger iron, so I feel like I have more control with the grip. And the iron weighs more than the cord. So I can kind of maneuver it a little bit better. So definitely... yeah, Hakko soldering station, which is an investment, but if you're doing electronics, like, that's a good tool upgrade, I think. Like, once you know, like, okay, I'm going to be doing a lot of soldering, like, I should do that. One thing recently was the camera slider. That's been really cool for time lapses, and the little turntable thing, too. I'm excited to use that. And then another thing is... I have this GoPro gimbal that I got really cheap, specifically to bring to Maker Faire. And I use it to both Maker Fairs that I went to, if you ever watched those Maker Faire recap videos. But I've never really used it outside of that because I always had in my head that it was a lot to, like, set up and get the GoPro mounted onto it and everything. But it really isn't. I used it a lot for the woodworking project with the Christmas tree I just did. it was really handy to just quickly get smooth shots of like my work area for the woodworking, and also the person that was helping me out with the jigsaw that day did a really good job considering they'd never used a camera before, like beyond their cell phone. Like they did a good job operating that and getting nice shots. They watched a lot of Jimmy DiResta videos. They're like, oh, I gotta get the Jimmy shot. So I'm gonna start using that more, I think. I had in my head, like I said, that it was a lot to set up, but it really isn't at all. I think it's more because I've used it for Maker Faire. It's more that Maker Faire is a lot, so I was kind of like associating those two things together. Maker Faire is a lot, but using the gimbal isn't. So I'm gonna start to integrate that into my shots, I think, a little bit more as I experiment more with storytelling and kind of like filming projects in different ways. Next, I keep seeing one, then I keep like specifically not taking it because I'm afraid it's like cheating, even though there's no rules here. All right. What has your YouTube journey been like? So I guess one thing I should start out by saying, and I feel like people can probably either pick up on this vibe or I've kind of casually mentioned it before, I don't really care about YouTube as a platform per se. You may have been able to tell I don't tailor my videos to line up with the YouTube ever-changing algorithms. I don't think about the algorithms. I don't care about the algorithms. I really don't care about numbers in general on YouTube or social media. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a robot. I, too, get that dopamine boost when, like, I see the subscriber count going up or a video's doing well or anything like that. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, absolutely, that makes you feel good. It's a human reaction. But I don't go chasing it. I don't know. I make videos because I like using a camera. I like editing, and I like working on the projects I do. If YouTube didn't exist, I would upload to another video platform. It would exist. Or I would just make them to make them. I've done a couple videos that I've just never released just because it was fun to do. And I also upload my videos to Diode Zone, which is a PeerTube instance that Micah Scott runs. She does a great job running it and maintaining it. For me, YouTube is more about, it's a place where I post my work. It's not like the end all. That being said, if we go more back to the experience aspect of that, it's been kind of amazing. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've had a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise. One of them, probably the biggest one, I got to write a book specifically because I had a YouTube channel. That opportunity wouldn't have happened otherwise. The fact that I'd done videos on the Tinker Board is why a press reached out to me to see if I was interested in writing a book on the Tinker Board. Crazy. And that is still, it's been a year since the book was released. That's definitely probably one of my proudest life achievements. I wrote a book. It's crazy. Like, that still is so crazy to me. Like, oh man. And I also got to speak at Maker Faire about my book, but also definitely related to the fact that I have a YouTube channel. Another thing that happened that I didn't talk about too much, it was in the past month, I was interviewed by Magpie Magazine. I'm in a magazine. Very weird. And that interview, that was really fun to do, and I talked a lot more kind of about how I got started doing my YouTube channel. As I said though, I'd still be making videos even if people didn't watch. The stuff that's happened, it's like icing on an already lovely tasting cake that I would eat anyway, even if it didn't look so pretty. It's scary to start a YouTube channel or anything like this. For me, it's been a really cool experience that has opened a lot of doors that otherwise I wouldn't in a million years have been able to do. Next question. How do you feel about these one-size-fits-all electronics with the integrated IoT control and the like, aka dev boards with a lot of bells and whistles? Are they a vital step to the future or more fluff than most projects need? Part of me sees this as a logical progression of the tech, but part of me thinks I don't need to control a board with Wi-Fi to just blink some LEDs. you're right. You don't need a board of Wi-Fi to blink some LEDs. For me personally, I always try to use the smallest and like least amount of features that I need for a project. So I use Trinket M0s a lot for projects, which if it doesn't have a lot of GPIO that I need and everything. I rarely, if ever, will put like a full Arduino in a project even, and that's not even getting into the IoT stuff. However, when I'm prototyping and such, I will often use the biggest board or most feature-packed board that I have, specifically so that when I'm testing, I don't run into any bottlenecks, and then I can kind of assess from there. As far as the IoT stuff, I personally don't do a lot of IoT stuff. I just don't. It's just not my thing, really. But I know a lot of people that do. Brian Locke and Stephen Ludgate, David Watts, Unexpected Maker, all those guys. I know I'm forgetting some people. They do a lot of stuff with like the ESP32 and a lot of Wi-Fi things. So for them, it makes sense to use a board that has all that stuff. But you'll notice when they're doing a project that they don't need to do all that stuff, they'll use like an @tiny. I think that it's knowing your project and what you need and what you don't need. And I think educating the community that no, you don't need an NVIDIA Jetson to blink an LED or to run like basic button scripts. But if you want to do some machine learning, yeah, you do need that. But even that isn't 100% true right now either because of all the stuff that's coming up with that. So it's all in, I guess, knowing what you need for your project and kind of going from there and just being aware of what's available for you too. Anything on the want to-do list for 2020? Yes. Well, part of me is, just keep doing what I've been doing. I will be revisiting the Xylo Pi project, which has become such a thing. With that, I think I'm just going to start from scratch with those boards. I'm going to stop, editing them. I'm just going to start from scratch. Because when I sent them off to Fab, I was a little rushed, and I was a little ahead of myself because the code had worked so well that I wasn't really thinking too much about the hardware. I was like, the hardware will be fine, don't worry. Worry, you should always worry. I want to do more woodworking. I do. That was really fun with the Xmas tree. That was really fun. So I want to do more woodworking. I want to build a workbench, actually, for my soldering. I don't know if you can really tell in the videos. I try to kind of hide it. But I'm using this little plastic table. It's actually a little too short for me. My knees hit it, and I'm sitting on this little crate thing. It's not great, so I kind of want to improve my soldering work area. I'm not really a big goal setter. I also don't do New Year's resolutions. Time is a man-made construct. I think you can decide to change your life or make adjustments at any time. It doesn't have to be January. It just so happens that we as a society have chosen this time of the year to act as kind of a bookmark to check in with our lives, and that's why I'm making this video right now. But yeah, basically just keep doing what I'm doing, have fun, and go from there. I feel like people are going to be really annoyed with some of my answers. All right, we're shuffling the last two. Let's see. What was your biggest hurdle when it came to electronics? Well, you saw some with the solenoid boards if you watched any of those videos with the fails. And actually, I consider that to kind of be my second stage of electronics learning. The first stage, I did just a lot of basic Arduino stuff and following the example circuits and going from there. And then I got a really, what I felt, decent understanding of those basic circuits. And I do have a basic understanding of that. And I was able to do really fun things with that. And I felt like I was kind of on top of the world. And then I felt I was ready, and I am ready for the Xylo Pi project where it's going a little bit more intense. We're doing these daughter boards and we're doing these solenoids and there's a lot of stuff going on. There's just a lot going on. And I hit a little bit of a wall. It was tricky. And I kind of had to step back a moment and go, okay, maybe we need to kind of go a little bit more back to some basic theory things, which we skipped over, which I know a lot of electronics people have issues. That's why they take issue with the Arduino, because people like me go oh yes, I know electronics. when you just kind of know the basics, like super basics. So that's kind of been my biggest hurdle. Just like I think I've said, like, I didn't start looking into any of this stuff until I was in my early 20s. I'm now in my late 20s. And it's tricky because, like, I just don't have the background. I just don't have the background that people that maybe started analog electronics when they were in their teens or even their childhood. Maybe one of their parents had an electronics background or a family member, you know, they had that to kind of work with. Or even like Fran Blanche, she does a lot of stuff about the Heathkit kits. Like, those were great educational tools. And I just didn't have exposure to that. And it's not an excuse, but it does make it tricky. So that's probably my biggest hurdle with electronics, is just kind of what I feel playing catch up. So, all right, the last one. It's the last one. What got you into making? Ooh. So I talked a little bit about this in the interview I did with Magpie, so I'll link that down in the description. I don't want to totally rehash, but I have always done like sewing and crafting and things like that. And I come from, everyone in my family like makes stuff, so it wasn't like a weird thing for me to like make things from scratch. My grandmother was a seamstress. My mom made all her own clothes for a really long time. Even my grandparents, when they got here, like, they owned a dry goods store, which is like fabric, and they made chairs and things like that. So it's kind of, I guess, a tradition. As my family doesn't have a lot of traditions, but I guess that is one that like, you make stuff, you just do. And my dad even does woodworking and stuff. So I guess that's always been kind of a natural thing for me to explore. And then it was when I was in college that I started exploring the electronics and the coding side of things. And it was when I decided to start this channel that I started really kind of seriously exploring it, just because I wanted like a little bit more of a creative outlet now that I wasn't in school and I was doing the 9-to-5 grind. And yeah, so I guess that's how I got into that. But that's going to end the Q&A. End of 2019. Now it's 2020. The Roaring 20s strikes back. But thank you for watching. Thank you for submitting questions. Without those questions, the video would not have been possible. So truly today, this video is brought to you by viewers like you. We'll be back to our normally scheduled project broadcasting very shortly. Thank you for watching, though. As always, consider subscribing for more content like this. And until next time, this has been Blitz City DIY. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrated, and Happy New Year.